What's up guys, my name is Connie Joy and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're not new here, welcome back and thank you for coming back. If you are new here, make sure that you watch part 1 and part 2 of this video. This is part 3. So make sure you go over to my playlist and watch those videos first. You can watch all of those videos, but this video in particular has a part 1 and a part 2. And those are the last videos listed on my Liberated Femme playlist. This video had to be delayed because since releasing part 1 and part 2, I got a overwhelming response from people that saw that video. My DMs were flooded, my messenger on Facebook was flooded. People even tracked my phone number down and were texting me. So let's jump right into the video. I'm gonna pick right back up where I left off at. After my foster brother was arrested, I was punished for telling my guidance counselor. Well, my adoptive mom made me quit my job. I was not allowed to go anywhere after school. I had to come straight home, and anytime that I would ask my mom if I could do something, anything at all outside of the house, she would tell me no, because you're mentally sick. And until you get better, you can't go anywhere. I can't trust you. I never fed into it. Like I knew I wasn't mentally sick because I wasn't stupid. Like of all the, I was too old to be manipulated anymore. And so I never believed for a second that I was really mentally sick, no matter how many times she said it to me. I didn't believe her. So when me and my sisters would go to school, they wouldn't talk to me anymore. And that was like the beginning of like the real end of our relationship. Both my sisters had part-time jobs at Burger King, and they both worked together at the same Burger King. So even before the police got involved, my sisters were closer to each other at the time than they were to me, and I was really always all by myself. A few days later, after my foster brother was arrested and removed from the home finally, I was sent to the assistant pastor's house for her to give me therapy, and we sat down and we talked for a little bit, and she told me, you know, you have to forgive him. You have to forgive your foster brother. And she said it's only, you know, it was only one incident. And I turned to her and I said, this was not just one incident. And she looked at me like she had such a shocked look on her face. But I knew that my mom was probably, you know, trying to make it seem like this happened out of nowhere. This was a one-time thing, and you know, Connie's a liar and she fabricates everything. You're still trying to cover it. You've been caught and you're still trying to cover this. I guess whatever it takes at all costs. When the officer that came to our house started his report, one of my sisters asked him, would people know about this? Would it be like public knowledge? Would people be aware of what's going on? And he said, unfortunately, there's no way I can hide this from the media. Because if you think about it, I'm not saying it would have been like a gigantic story, but if you think about the potential headline that could have been just in a local newspaper, because me and my sisters actually had been in the newspaper a few years back on Easter, because we were all wearing the same burgundy dresses, and someone took our picture and it was in the newspaper. And when I came to school the next day, everyone was coming up to me saying like, oh my God, did you see yourself here in the newspaper? And I was just like, I live under a rock, of course not. So imagine if someone wanted to make a story out of this case. The idea that this story could get out, which people would have the right to know, because I think people should have the right to know when a pedophile is amongst them, when they have children. I think the public has a right to know that. That's fair, don't you think? I think that's fair, especially if the predator is not getting help and is still actively, harming people. I think that that's only the right thing to do, especially if you're a people of God. The idea that this could get out and the whole, neighborhood and the city would know, I think that scared the shit out of my mom. And she was not gonna let that happen. The detective that actually took the report at our house, he gave me his business card before he left, and he told me if I needed anything to give him a call. Well, a few weeks went by and nothing happened, and it was almost as if nothing had ever happened. I would see my foster brother at church on Sundays, or pretty much anytime we would go to church, but I would see him regularly. I remember my mom said to me one day, she said, "Stop walking around like it's a morgue in here. Girls get raped and murdered every single day. The boy is gone. What do you want me to do?" She said that. She compared my situation to someone who gets raped and murdered, and that I should be grateful that I only got raped and molested because I'm alive. I should be grateful for that. And I was grateful to be alive. But I knew that my mom was batshit crazy. So when nothing happened, it raised suspicion to me. It was just really weird to me. I didn't want to be caught off guard with what was going on. So I decided to give the detective that was handling my case a call, so I would know what was going on. No one was going to call him but me. I knew both my sisters were not going to take the initiative, and honestly, they weren't being punished because they did what my mom told them to do. So as long as they were in her good graces, they were not concerned about anything happening. And I'm pretty sure that they would have gone to court and probably lied and tried to, I don't even know. I just don't even know. I don't know. So I called the detective and I asked him, I said, I don't know what's going on with the case, but I just want to know what's happening just so I can be prepared for it. I was in a lot of ways, I was a very, very intelligent, mature teenager for my age. So I needed to know what was going on. And he said to me, I'm not handling your case anymore. It was transferred. And I was just like, oh, okay. And he was just like, talk to your mom, ask your mom about it. And I was like, okay, I'll ask her. Well, that night, my foster mom came home and I told her, and even though she was pissed at me, she was treating me like shit, no one was talking to me again. When I went to school, no one would talk to me. It was like I just didn't even fucking exist. Even though she was mad, I knew that since the police were involved, she legally couldn't get out of this. So I didn't see there being anything wrong with me calling the detective, because somebody should be talking to somebody. And when I spoke to the detective, he seemed surprised. He seemed very surprised that I was calling him and that I didn't know anything that was going on. So I told my foster mom, I was like, yeah, I called the detective and he told me to talk to you because I don't know what's going on and no one's telling me anything. And a part of me did know that if I spoke with the detective that it would be more concrete information than asking my mom, because she's a liar. But I did know going into making the phone call that it would make my mom mad, but it would put some initiative behind her to actually, engage and tell me what's going on with my case. So when I told her, she flipped out and she was like, why would you do that? Why would you call? And I was just like, because nothing is happening. And she was like, the boy is gone. What more do you want? So him being removed from the home is supposed to just be enough. just did not sit right with me. It made no sense to me that you didn't even want him removed from the house. You didn't want any of this to happen. You didn't care about what was happening to me. You have a problem with the fact that I reacted to it. You have a problem with the fact that I had the fuck enough. That was the problem. That I couldn't get with the damn program. That I couldn't go with the fucking flow of what you guys were doing to me. My foster mom asked me, did I want to leave when I turned 18? And I didn't even hesitate. I was like, yes. And that was the first time she ever put her hands on me. She smacked me clear across my face. My mind is blown because I'm sitting here thinking, like, you treat me like shit, you don't love me, you let somebody abuse me for a decade, and you don't want me to leave when I turn 18? You don't want to let me leave? You won't let me go live my life? What is wrong with you? How can you want somebody to stay there? I knew when I turned 18 that I was leaving. I knew that for sure. I was doing it on my damn terms. Everyone before me got kicked out. It was always on my foster mom's terms. Even after you're 18 years old, if you don't march to the beat of her drum, you still get to get kicked out, even though you're paying rent. So I just knew that that's not for me. I don't understand why I would live home after the age of 18 anyway, but that's not for me. I'm not going to sit here and continue being imprisoned here. Right after that, my mom took me and put me in her car. And she sped through every stop sign on the way to the church. And the whole entire way, she told me that I ruined the family name and that she's so sorry that she ever adopted me and that I want to make her look bad. And she told me she was sending me to Delaware to live with one of her friends who used to actually attend the church that we attended, and she was going to separate me from my sisters. How can you try so hard to stop me from getting free from you? Like nothing is going to get me free from you. When we got to the church, we went into the office in the back. And inside this office was the main pastor of the church, and me, and my foster mom. And the head pastor, she sat me on her lap, and my foster mom was staring straight at me. And she was looking at me like, you know, when you give a kid that look like you know better, don't say anything to fucking embarrass me. But I knew that if anybody could save me or help me, it was going to be the head pastor. So this moment was like, this was my only chance. It was now or never. I was never going to be able to get help. She said to me that, she said, you have to forgive him or you're going to go to hell. And I said, what? She said, if you don't forgive him, you're going to go to hell. She said, not forgiving. She said, not forgiving is a sin. And if you don't forgive him, you're going to go to hell. And then my foster brother walks in and he sits down and he's facing me and my foster mom's facing me and I'm sitting on the head pastor's lap and her voice is in my ear and I was so outnumbered. I couldn't believe that everyone wanted to keep this a secret. If anybody could have helped me or saved me, it would have been the head pastor. told her, if I forgive him, it's not true. It's not in my heart. And at the time, I didn't know how to say, I need to heal. I can't just forgive you. I need to heal. I have never been apologized to. I never saw a real therapist. I never got evaluated by a physician. I never saw OBGYN. And I never understood why it happened to me and why it kept happening to me, or why you let it happen, or why you were okay with it happening, why you didn't just pick me. And like, I don't know. I didn't have a choice. I had to say what I had to say to get out of that office, and I knew that no matter what, it doesn't matter. Nothing mattered anymore. Nothing. I was trapped. I was completely trapped. I did everything that I could to save myself, and I did everything. I did what nobody else did, and it still wasn't enough. The only way I was going to ever get free was to actually leave that house. So, after that day, everything continued as usual. As a matter of fact, my foster brother began coming around back to the house again. It was like nothing had ever changed, only he no longer lived with us. I still wasn't allowed to go anywhere but school, and that was that. Fast forward to me turning 18. I turned 18. I decided that I was going to leave home. So I didn't know where I was going and how I was going to do it, but I knew that I was leaving home on my own terms. The night before I left home, my little sister overheard my foster mom and one of her biological daughters talking in our living room about me. And they were just kicking my back in. They were saying all types of things about me. Like, I'm dramatic, I'm so needy, I need so much attention. God only knows what I tell people outside about the family. And I guess following everything that my little sister watched me go through, it was finally really getting to her. It was really finally breaking her. And she came and told me everything that they said. And I knew that the tone that my foster mom's biological daughter was using, she was coming for me because I was finally 18. So we could actually really go toe to toe in an argument if she really wanted to fuck with me. And when I realized that, I was like, yo, no, I have to get out of here. I have to leave because this whole entire thing is fucking toxic. I can't be here. Don't think that just because I don't come from shit means that I'm gonna deal with your shit. And that was the kind of attitude that I actually had. Because once I was like, you know what, I'm 18, I can leave this place, I had a very different approach. I wasn't disrespectful, but my mindset was on find a way out as soon as possible. The day after that, when my sister told me everything that they had said about me the night before, I made it up in my mind that I was going to call one of my best friends and ask her, could she get her mom to pick me up because I was leaving. I was leaving. This was actually on spring break in April, and we were home from school for spring break. That Monday when we were home was the day after they were talking all this shit about me. So that morning, I packed up all my stuff in plastic bags and I piled them up against the wall near my bedroom door, and I was ready to go. So about 20 minutes later, after I called my best friend, her mom pulls up and she's outside. During this time, my foster mother's biological daughter had to move back home for, I don't even know for whatever reason, probably financial reasons, obviously. The reason why everybody moves back home whenever they move back home. She was home that day. She was sitting at the table in the kitchen. We had this light this light wooden table. She was sitting at the table and she was on her phone. So I start taking my bags down the steps and outside. And I'm walking right past her, taking my bags outside. And my best friend is at the bottom of our driveway, collecting them from me and putting them inside of her mom's trunk. So as I walk back in to go get the second trip of bags, my foster sister says to me, "What are you doing? Where are you going?" And I said to her, "I'm leaving." When I said that, she said, "No, you're not." She proceeded to chase me through the house, up the steps, and back into my room where I slammed the door and locked it. And she was screaming like a fucking psychopath, banging on my bedroom door. I waited 12 years to be able to leave that house. And now that I'm of age and I'm actually allowed to leave, you think you're gonna stop me from leaving? You treat me like shit. Why would you try and stop someone from leaving? I called my best friend. They had to call the cops. The cops had to come to get me out of the house and had to explain to my foster sister that I am legally allowed to leave the house. So during this time, she calls my foster mom, and as we're getting the rest of the bags out of the house, she's actually arguing back and forth with my best friend's mom outside. I know, like, that put her in like such an awkward position because, like, you know, my foster sister was not small. She was pretty heavy set, if I'm being honest. She wasn't a small woman. She was pretty heavy set, you know, and my best friend's mom, she was small framed, but she, you know, she was curvy. And I was just like, you know, I was just a threat. So I didn't stand a chance of protecting myself. She was literally trying to fucking intimidate me and scare me. She was literally acting like a slave was leaving the plantation. She was acting like they owned me. Like I was just a fucking possession. She said to me, she was just like, "Mommy said, don't you ever come back." And I felt so tiny. I felt so tiny. Because yes, I wanted to escape. Yes, I needed to escape. I needed to leave. I needed to leave to survive. But to be openly rejected like that, like don't ever come back, it made me feel like nobody in the world ever wanted me. Because at the end of the day, all I wanted was you guys to treat me right. Like that's all I wanted. Right? And love me and show me. So to be punished again and again and again for doing the right thing, for demanding the right thing, for wanting what is owed to me. I'm entitled to being treated like a human being. I wouldn't be treated the way that you treat your grandkids. Because if this ever happened to them, this would have never, if this would have happened to any of the grandkids, my foster brother probably wouldn't be alive. It could have never been them. I just wanted to be loved and treated right. I don't think that's a lot to ask. So, I know my foster mom never loved me. It's not really a big deal. Like, it's fucked up, it really is. But I got plenty of people who do love me. After I left home, I moved in with my best friend's family, and I finished high school. And I saw my sister every day at school, and she wouldn't speak to me. Like, she would walk right past me in the hallway. And I understand because I know she still had to live there. I know that if anybody caught her talking to me or dealing with me, it would get back to my foster mom and that she would get in trouble. So, and we went to school with all of our cousins who were also, our niece and nephew. We went to school together because when their mom moved back home, they moved with her, so we were all living together, and they went to, they went in the same district that we went to. So I would see, our cousins, and they wouldn't speak to me either, which, no, I'm not surprised about that. I did all the right things, and I did what was best for me because no one was thinking about what was best for me. I still felt bad because I was still being punished, and collectively, so many people around me were all punishing me, maybe not even realizing that they were punishing me. So I just felt like I had absolutely no one. And I didn't really know how to express how I felt about everything to my friends, so I kind of kept all of it inside. I remember my best friend's mom, she said to me a few months after I had been living there, she said to me that, when you first came to us, I told my daughter to watch you because I thought you were gonna, try and commit suicide. And she said that because I was determined to not look affected by what happened to me, because everybody was basically laughing at me. I was the laughing stock of my foster family, and I was mad that I couldn't get further away. I wanted to just leave the whole entire city and area, but I couldn't because I didn't have shit. So I was literally everywhere I went. I just didn't have any friends. By this point I did have my friends, but my friends also didn't live anywhere near me. And we weren't driving. I wasn't driving. I wasn't allowed to get a driver's license or a permit or anything like that. So my foster mom really limited everything as far as what she taught me and what she wanted me to know. So I left home knowing nothing. When I left home, it was like it was literally like leaving a prison for the first time, and I had to learn a lot of stuff on my own, and I learned the really hard way. And a lot of people didn't pity me or have empathy for me. I didn't want pity, but a lot of people didn't have empathy for me as far as what I didn't know as an adult, because they figured it's your job to learn this stuff. But when somebody literally doesn't even teach you survival skills, doesn't even, teach you your own social security number, doesn't teach you how to file your taxes, nothing. My foster mom taught me absolutely nothing. She literally just did not care about she did not care about instilling shit in me, so she didn't. And I suffered a lot of that. I suffered hard when it comes to that, because people just thought I was a dumbass. People would literally call me bubbly and stupid and airheaded, and it was rough. It was really, really rough. At the end of the day, I know that I did absolutely everything that I could to protect myself and protect my sisters. Ultimately, what ended up happening was my foster mother worked out some kind of plea deal where my story, me and my sister's story, would never go to court. We would never see a judge. It was like it never ever happened. I knew that she did this to protect her image and protect the church's image, because my foster brother was a deacon and my foster mom was an elder. So my foster mom had a lot of say-so in that church, along with the other, the assistant pastor and the head pastor. And the sad truth is that this all happened in plain sight, and people knew about it while it was happening to me, while I was growing up in it, while I was being raised in it. And I used to feel like when I would go back to Willow Grove, I used to feel like I just did not belong there, and like everybody was always staring at me and watching me. I just felt so uneasy every time I was there. That's why I hate going there. And I just felt even worse after I went to people for help and I was rejected and denied that help. I just felt even worse because I would see them and I would just feel like they know what happened to me, and now I feel ashamed that they know, and the joke's on me because this nigga is still coming to church. Nothing's changing. No one's acting different. I definitely did not go back to church after I left home. I definitely did not go back. I was happy to not have to go back. So happy not to have to go back. And I was finally free. I didn't go crazy or anything like that. I still had to go to school every day. I still had to do my homework. I still had responsibilities, and I helped out as much as I could. I lived in a lot of fear with a lot of anxiety when I moved out because I was still living in the area and still going to school, so I was always paranoid that I was going to see either my foster brother or my foster mom. And it gave me a lot of damn nightmares because I didn't know what I was going to do or say if they saw me. A few months later, after I graduated, I went to enroll in school for fashion design. I couldn't get financial aid because I was not old enough to get loans for myself. I had to get them through my foster mom, and I called my foster mom and I asked her, would she, give her information to the school so I could, get loans so I could go to school. And she said no and hung up. I couldn't get into school relying on my foster mom. She did not want me to be successful in anything whatsoever. If she could stop me, she was going to try and stop me at all costs and by all means. 3 years went by and I got a phone call from my little sister and she said, Mommy died. And I was just like, stop playing. And she was like, no, she's died. She died, she's dead. And she said it just like that, no emotion whatsoever. The day before her funeral, I had a breakdown. It finally all hit me that my foster mom really had passed away. And it did break my heart because it was not hard to see that all I wanted was my mom. And I never hated my foster mom. I never wanted her to die. I just wanted her to do the right thing for me. I needed her to do the right thing for me. If I was the daughter to her that she said I was, I just needed her to love me and protect me. And I don't think that that's a lot to ask. And there's no explanation, there's no excuse good enough for why she didn't. And now I understand and know that the reason why it hurts so much is because it was never meant for you to be a mother to me. Like, you made the decision to not. And you punished me for asking for love from you. You punished me for asking for protection. You punished me for going above your head and finding protection from somewhere else because you weren't good enough. You punished me for me asking for your best. And that's what you sign on for when you foster and adopt children. There's nothing wrong with what I'm saying. This is fair. I'm entitled to that. I felt entitled to that. I did. I didn't choose you. You chose me. So I knew that when she passed away that all my opportunity and chances for a relationship with her were gone and that it was never going to happen. And that broke my heart because I still wanted that. I still wanted to have a relationship with my foster mom. I used to think about how proud she was going to be of me because I was doing so well, but But everything that I did it with her voice in the back of my head, thinking that I was dumb and stupid and retarded and not good enough and I couldn't do anything right. And I just felt like I could never miss a beat because of that. I could not do anything and fuck up publicly because it would get back to them and they would just start laughing about it. And they would just have the time of their lives laughing about me, and everything that I do is wrong, just like they did all those years watching me grow up. So when I went to my foster mom's funeral, I was late because I just was not mentally prepared. I just couldn't, like, I couldn't get myself together. It was so hard for me to walk in that church and walk down the aisle. And I remember when I was on my way, one of my sisters that was already there texted me and told me they're closing the casket. And I started to freak out, and I was like, no, I need to see her one last time. I just need to see her one last time. And I was entitled to that moment because I did nothing wrong. I deserved to see her one last time. My sister asked if they would, hold the casket open for a few more minutes because I was going to be coming in soon, and I was literally around the corner, and they said no. I never got to see her that day. When I got there to the funeral, the casket was closed, and I sat in the front row, and coincidentally, my foster mother's biological daughter held me the entire time that I sobbed like a baby. And I kept saying to her, I just want her back. And I said, I'm so sorry. And I felt like I felt like they were punishing me by not letting me see her one last time. They were punishing me with that for everything that I ever did that was against what she wanted. And I didn't believe that my foster sisters knew what was going on. I didn't believe that they knew. I didn't think that they knew what was going on in the house because for so many years they were really in and out. Like, in the relationship they had with my mom was up and down. So I really didn't think they were close enough to know that information. Besides, based on what the assistant pastor said to me, and based on what the head pastor said to me in regards to my foster brother and forgiveness, it confirmed to me that obviously my foster mom was lying to some extent to convince everyone that I was overreacting about something really minute, and that wasn't the case. So I just thought that maybe it was too much for them to handle, to open the casket again or leave it open or whatever. But now I totally believe that was just a shot at me, like, you don't deserve to see her. I was being punished. Like, they were treating me like shit. They treated me like shit. I don't know how else they treated me like shit. So all the while that I'm being held as I'm crying, I'm also being denied a decent farewell because I just couldn't get down with my foster brother fucking me. So I strongly believe, I know that my foster sisters knew what was going on with my foster brother. We lived in a very small town with very, very nosy people. So I do know, and the circles people hang in very, very tight knit, and everybody knows your business. I do know that both my foster sisters were well aware of what my foster brother was. So they did not think that I still had the right to have ever left 3 years ago. They still had a problem with that, despite the fact that they were aware that I was abused all those years. Instead of actually, trying to help me, encourage me, give me some words of wisdom, be a fucking sister, actually be a role model, they just help fuck me up. They just helped fuck me up. They were complicit. They helped make everything worse. So I believe that they refused to open the casket for me, specifically because I didn't deserve to see her. I didn't deserve to see my foster mother one last time, in their opinion. The foster sister that was holding me was the foster sister that chased me through the house when I tried to leave when I was 18. After the funeral, we went to New Jersey to bury my foster mom, and me and my sisters were on the habitual, but we were not allowed to ride in the limousine to the grave site where my foster mom got buried. We had to get our own rides. During the repast, my foster sisters, who put everything together, they handled all the arrangements for the funeral. We weren't, involved whatsoever. They came up to me and they asked me for my address. So they got my address and my sister's addresses, and that was that. A few weeks later, I got a call that my foster sisters were having a dinner. They wanted to have a dinner for us so we could just I don't know, get together. So we went to it, and at the dinner there was a notarist there, and this notarist actually attended our church. So I didn't think anything of it, because I grew up seeing this woman in our church. So I just figured, oh, she's part of the church, who cares? And everybody else was still involved in the church except for me. So my foster sisters came. They gave me and my sisters some form to fill out, some form to just sign, actually. And the font was like 4, and it was this big paragraph. We all just signed it. I signed mine, my sisters signed theirs, and we didn't think anything of it because we were at this special dinner that our foster sisters invited us to, for us to spend time together. And so I just didn't think anything of it. So following that, a few weeks later, I got a check in the mail for $1,000, and the top of the check said the estate of my foster mom. And somehow I caught wind of information through my foster sister and my biological sister, because they were talking. So I mentioned in part 1 of this video that my foster mom had 2 biological daughters of her own, and then she had adopted a girl, my foster sister, and a boy, my foster brother, and then it was me and my 2 sisters. So my foster sister, who was not biologically related to my other foster sisters or me, my foster sister she was pretty close with one of the other foster sisters, and basically my foster sister came out and said that basically what we signed was a form giving over our rights, making my foster mom's biological daughters the executors of her estate, which meant that they could do whatever they wanted with my foster mom's estate because we signed over our rights. Of course, you don't just sign documents, but I was grieving. I assumed everyone else was grieving too. I didn't think that what I was signing was actually giving up my own rights. And it made me feel so shitty that even at a time like this, that we still just were nothing but dirt to you. Still. Now, money wouldn't have brought her back. However, the estate was left the way that it was because that was the way that my foster mom obviously wanted it to be. She wanted her estate equally split between all of her kids, and it was the least that could have been done. It was the least that could have actually been done right after everything that family had done to me and my sisters. It was the least that they could do. So, more and more information came out, because when people get upset and angry about money that they think belongs to them or that's owed to them, they just start to, expose and divulge information about other people. So my foster sister told me and my sisters that my foster mother's biological daughters, who were our foster sisters, that they had received the estate, which was $100,000. And my foster sister also told me that she and my foster brother knew all along what my other foster sisters were planning to do with the estate. They knew exactly what we were signing, and they had signed their own documents in privacy before we got ours. So they actually stood by knowing exactly what we were signing, and the notarized that was there as proof, but nothing was explained to us at all. Nothing. We didn't know so many things, and we were still pretty timid. And being around my foster sisters, it didn't make me feel like warm and loved. It made me feel on edge and uneasy because I didn't know how they felt about me. But they felt about me the way they had always felt about me, which was why they actually tricked us into signing over the estate to them, making them the executors. So my foster sister, she was pissed off because apparently she agreed to act like she knew to go along with this whole thing. She agreed to go along with it, along with my foster brother, and she was supposed to receive extra money for going along with it, and she did not. So when she did not receive the money that she was expecting, that she thought was owed to her, she just started telling everybody's business. It is what it is. I hope they enjoyed every single dime, and I hope that they've got something to account for it. I mean, look, what's the sense in swindling foster kids out of a $100,000 estate? What's the point in doing that if you have nothing to show for it whatsoever? I want to say about 6 months after my mom passed, my foster sister, she was the older foster sister that used to babysit me and stuff. So she came to me and she said to me that there was an incident in the church where I believe she said she was 12 or 13 years old, this little girl, there was an incident where my foster brother was sending her really inappropriate text messages and photos, and the little girl's mother caught wind of it and called the police, and he was arrested. And he was arrested because he's a registered sex offender. When that broke out, apparently all hell broke loose because it was like finally public. Like, people were asking questions. I was no longer there and in the area when that happened. And my foster sister said that my mom said she asked her to find me and find my number and track me down because she said that she was sorry and that she believed me now. I don't know why she would say she believed me now because this was never in question whatsoever. But I do think that she worded it like that to my foster sister because they painted this picture like I was a delusional, messed up little kid who just wanted attention, and that none of this was true. And since it wasn't happening to everyone else, nobody cared. So it took me a really, really very long time to forgive my foster mom because I always felt like it was me who needed to be forgiven, even because I was punished. And I just naturally started to feel like, it was what it was. Like, she died and I didn't get, the closure that I felt like I deserved and I needed. It was 3 years after I left home when she passed away. And I just felt like she owed it to me to apologize to me. And she let 3 years go by and she died not having been forgiven by me. But she also waited literally to the last minute. And it wasn't because she genuinely wanted to reach out to me and get forgiveness. It was because it happened to somebody else. Now it was a problem. So, I have, in my own personal way, I did forgive my foster brother because I did realize that at one point that he was a child and that he was molested. And if my foster mom had did any justice even for him, it would have been to actually get him help, and she didn't. So he turned into a complete total monster and ruined his entire life. That's just the way that I feel. I have my diary, so I'm going to read something out. I'm going to read a few of them out to you guys. This was my diary. It's First Aid for a Teenager's Soul. The very first entry is July 27th, 2004. So you guys can see right here. And I'm gonna read the ones out to you guys that are really, that pertain strictly to this. I even have logs in here that I typed up. I literally used to type this stuff up at school and print it out. And there is like very deep and personal information in here, and I was going to school typing it up because I needed a way to vent. So if I couldn't write it, if I didn't have my diary with me, I would just go to school, type it up, print it out, delete it from the desktop, and then bring it home and then staple it in here. And I have another diary that is actually still in the custody of the Abington police that I gave them the night that my foster brother was arrested because my mom said I was lying. So I said I write everything down. So that was my proof. And then once they took that diary, I started writing in this diary when he got arrested because I needed a new one to log in. November 22nd, 2004. Hey, my mom just told me yesterday that he is coming home for Thanksgiving dinner. Am I happy? Hell no. I have to see him every Sunday because he's still allowed in the church. If he's not allowed in my house now, why should he be allowed to come home on a holiday? I really hope we can go to court before Christmas because I don't want him home for Christmas. I know it sounds mean, but people are making me feel really bad about the whole thing. I mean, how would you feel if someone told you they were sorry and they were all crying in front of you and you had to forgive them? Then you feel all bad about telling in the first place. I feel so stupid right now. I don't know what to do. I was hoping I wouldn't have to ever see him again until we went to court. In this diary entry, I talk about literally feeling guilty and feeling bad because I'm being punished so much for ever telling. Ever since I told about the whole thing, about that boy, she's been saying I'm mentally sick. Whenever I ask to go to the mall or to my friend's house, she says, no, you're not well yet. If I listened to that crap she said, then I'd be crazy by now. She says I'm mentally sick and that's the reason I can't go anywhere. But anyone with common sense would know that it's just some cover-up. It's really a punishment for telling. I know it is. I'm having a bad day today because I have no clothes left to wear. Like the only thing I have left to wear is summer clothes. I've worn all my clean clothes in the past couple of weeks. Everything I have is dirty now, and I don't have any detergent to wash my clothes. Oh, did I tell you yet? Yeah, I have to buy my own detergent to wash my clothes, and I don't have any. So I had to go to my dirty clothes basket and re-wear my clothes. I asked my best friend if I could borrow some of their detergent to wash my clothes, and she said yeah, but they have to buy some first. So I have no idea what I'm wearing tomorrow. I have 3 pairs of socks left, so I don't have to rewear any socks yet. I only have 1 pair of underwear left. I don't know what I'm gonna do. If I ask my mom for some of her detergent, she'll get mad at me. This morning I was running late, so of course, like almost every other day, I look like crap. Honestly, I only have 5 pairs of jeans and 3 pairs of sweatpants. When I walk into school, I feel so bad because there are all these girls that look nice every day and get new clothes all the time. When I left home at 18, I felt like I was starting my life for the first time. And the only way that I was going to ever get free was by leaving. And because I left the way that I did, I was able to break free from the control of my foster mom. Whereas my sisters were ultimately both kicked out, and because of that rejection, that cat and mouse game just continued for, the next 3 years where they wanted to be accepted, you know what I mean? And because of the history that we had with this family, my sisters continued to stay involved with this family. And because it was all that they knew. And even though both of my sisters did venture out in the world on their own, they always ended up still staying in the rotation with their family. From the time that I left home and the time that my foster mom passed away, there were family functions that my sisters went to that I wasn't allowed to go to. I didn't want to go anyway, but I felt bad that as adults, nobody still wanted to, you know, deal with me. And it wasn't personal, I guess, because they just wanted to belong, and we were so fucked up that even though we had each other, we didn't have each other. So I lost that relationship with both my sisters for years because of that. And it was like this unspoken thing. Like, over time, they just eventually started to gravitate towards me, and we built a relationship of our own. But it wasn't a conversation we had about what happened and how any of it was handled. I was just grateful to have my sisters in my life, period. So I took them anywhere I could get them, even after they were all fucked up because of that family. Since putting out part 1 and part 2 of this video, I got an overwhelming response from people that watched the video, people that heard about the video. People responded, and I'm gonna share a few of those responses with you guys. I'm not sharing these responses to out anybody. I'm not sharing these responses to retaliate. I'm not sharing these responses to do any harm to anybody. I'm sharing these responses because I want people to know how prevalent what happened to me really is right now. And keep in mind that this happened to me. Try to keep that in mind. As long as you can, keep that in mind that this actually happened to me. I will put the messages up right here so you guys can actually see it, but I'm going to edit out the names because I'm not trying to expose anybody, and I'm just trying to, I found out very, very disturbing information about what happened to me, and because of what I found out, I just feel like the community that I lived in, they have a right to know, and they deserve to know exactly what kind of people are amongst them. Because this all plays into how this happened to me and how my foster family was, you know, able to get away with what they did so long, and then how they were able to stop the story even coming out. It was brought to my attention that many people knew in the neighborhood, in the area, in the church that I was going to, many people knew that I was being sexually abused while it was happening. And people fail to realize how that makes me feel to find out as an adult. From coming out and talking about this in a video, people responded, and so many people, I can't even read them all, so many people told me that they were told by someone else to keep their children away from my foster brother. And if you keep your children away from my foster brother, you obviously can't, your kids can't obviously be friends with me. So the reason why we didn't have friends in the church was because the kids in the church were being protected from my foster brother, but we weren't being protected. So that's why we didn't have any damn friends. When somebody tells you something like that, and you don't know the details as to why, you just kind of label the whole entire group of that whole family weirdos. They're just all weirdos, you know what I mean? Like, over time, like, why don't you fuck with that person? Why don't you fuck with that person? Oh, because, you know, growing up, my mom told me X, Y, and Z. I don't know, they just weird, I don't fuck with them. You know what I mean? So we all, like, I got that label because of my fucking foster brother. Like, I had to work 10 times as hard to be taken seriously because of the reputation that I got from him and from my foster mom. A lot of people that reached out to me with ill intentions. They reached out to me pretending to care, but they were also reaching out to me trying to get information from me about whom else was involved in my story. People have reached out to me actually telling me information about other people, and it pertains not to me at all. And it boils down to there were many adults, there were many people over the age 18 that knew what was going on. A lot of people didn't. There were a few people who didn't know the details. They were just following what they said, just, you know what I mean, just following what they heard. But then there are people who actually did know about it, and it makes me feel like disgusted. Like, I feel like I was growing up in a poisonous town. I guess what the fear is that somebody else that might be a recent victim of my foster brother, what if they see this? And then what if we all get drugged to court? Because we have to be held accountable for why this man was even allowed to be around other children. A lot of people have handled my story in a very selfish way. It's not about you, it's about me. This was me telling my story. It has nothing to do with anybody else. Look, I came to tell my story, and that's what I did. And I'm sorry if it offended you. There's nothing I can do about that. If you're curious to know exactly who was in my story, I did not say anyone's name. You need to watch part 1 and part 2 and part 3 and watch it closely, and you'll be able to figure it out all on your own. I don't want anybody else messaging me or contacting me or reaching out to me if you just want to do it to get information about other people. The moral of the story here, the bigger picture here, is that a community of people, there were several people who were well aware about this going on and did absolutely nothing. Now, I totally understand. I know more than anybody knows that my mom was going to be very hard to defeat, because I myself did what no one else did for me. And I felt like I failed. I felt like there was no way out. I did. But someone could have called the police every week anonymously and forced them to really investigate. We have people out here who spitefully call Child Protective Services on one another for petty shit, but won't call Child Protective Services or the police when a child is being fucking abused. It makes no sense to me. You take what you want from this message. You take what you guys want from the messages that I'm going to share with you guys. Because at the end of the day, I didn't tell anybody to come in my messages and message me any of this stuff. I didn't. People need to take a look around and start really thinking and analyzing what kind of people you guys are fucking hanging around. Like I said, my foster brother was very popular in school and in the church. So I think people are now running and going apeshit like, oh my God, if you guys are best friends, did you know this? Did you guys know this? Who didn't know? And then everyone is running, going fucking crazy, and they're so worried about being attacked for what they know or what place they think they may have in this information that they're running to me, telling on each other. But they're forgetting that you're telling the person, this is my story, this was my life. That happened to me. I am highly offended that people actually really did do this. That people really did come to me trying to clear their name, and at the same time, I'm so sorry that this happened. I never trust such and such, and I'm just sitting here like, this video is so late because I got to a point where I literally was having a breakdown because I was reading these long messages, and every time I read them, I was reading information about myself over and over and over again, and I'm just like, does anybody realize how fucked up this actually is? I got some very, very genuinely kind messages from people. I've gotten such an outpour of love from people that I don't even know, and people that I did know growing up, and it was really strange for me because I'm not used to people really giving a shit about what happened to me. I didn't start making this video to ruin someone's life or expose people, because if you've actually watched my Liberated Femme series, you'll know that there were like 4 videos prior to these last 3 videos. I was talking about my entire experience, period. So no, my foster brother is not responsible for the basket case I was when I showed up. However, my foster brother and my foster mother could have changed everything and given me a completely different life. They made the decision to not give that to me. They made the decision to determine so much for me. I also want to address one last thing. When part 1 of my video came out, my sister, my older sister, her daughter, my niece, got a phone call at 3 a.m. from a relative of the foster family. She gave the phone to my sister. Why you would call my teenage niece at 3 a.m. is beyond me. But she just thought she could anyway, because I guess that's the kind of relationship that she has with my niece and my sister. So she's telling my sister wouldn't tell me everything she said because she knew that I would have something to say about it. And I did a live to address the situation because I knew that she would see the live, and I know that she's gonna see this video too. And I just wanna put this out there in case anybody from my foster family, in case anybody feels the need to reach out to me in anger because I'm telling my truth. Let me go on to say that this foster family relative was telling my sister she's going to beat me up and this is so disrespectful, and that she feels so bad for my foster brother and my foster mom because she, you know, God rest her soul. I didn't know everything that I know now when I first started this series. I didn't. I found out information about myself that I would have never known had I not even put out this series. And it wasn't enough for God. He wasn't satisfied with me having gotten away, moved to a whole new state, built a life from the ground up. It wasn't enough for him. He wanted more for me. So when I put out these videos, people reached out to me and shared this information with me. I never imagined that I just never fathomed such things, both good and bad, but just never imagined. But God wanted me to know these things, and I don't think if I hadn't known them, I would really understand what it really feels like to be liberated and to really be free. Like, I really feel like nothing can hold me back now. Like, literally nothing. Nothing. Every insecurity I ever had was birthed in that house. I learned how to hate myself there. But now I'm free. Now I'm actually free. The reason why this foster relative reached out to my sister is because she knows my sister is not as bold and strong-willed as I am. So she passive-aggressively reached out to my sister, hoping that that message would intimidate me. What she used was a tactic that, you know, her mother used on me and on my sisters when we were children, and that was to just aggressively demand shit. So it bothered her because, oh, look at that, look at Connie. The girls are getting out of control. Somebody better go get Connie. She's doing too much. She's making us look bad. Connie's telling the fucking truth, and if you don't like it, there's not a fucking thing I can do about that shit. I don't owe anybody a damn thing, and if you were any decent of a person, you would fucking apologize to me on behalf of your fucked up family. That's what I fucking deserve, an apology. I don't owe that woman shit. God rest her soul. But I don't owe her shit. I don't. How dare you, how dare anybody try and deny me my truth after what they did to me, That makes you a really sick and fucked up person. That is disgusting. That makes you a sick ass person. People, look around at who you are really associated with. Anybody who is okay with hanging around with anybody who is okay with a predator has a fucking problem. Something is really fucking wrong with you. I'm sorry. But no one's going to deny me my right to tell my story. The nerve. It's bad enough it happened, so you have a problem with me talking about it? Look, they had to stop me 15, 16 years ago if they wanted to stop me. I just go into like attack mode. I feel very threatened when somebody tries to actually tell me that you know, what happened was fucked up, but your reaction to it is, you know, that's out of pocket. You know, you're doing too much. What? It says a lot. So it disturbs me that so many people knew about this. And I really hope that what you guys take from this video, don't cry for me. Don't feel bad for me. I really got the hell away and I got my truth because it came out all on its own. It came out on its own. It came to my door. It came knocking on my door. God wanted me to know what I know now. And I really, you know, my only hope for my sisters is that they can be set free from this too. They deserve it. What happened to us really took a big toll on my sisters. If someone did the amount of damage to me that my foster mother did and they weren't someone that actually was supposed to be taking care of me, they would be in jail right now. So many charges would have been pressed. Why do you think it's okay to do this kind of stuff to someone else's child? Getting back to all of the responses that I got, so many of them were so genuine and so kind and so heartfelt, and it's meant so much. Some of them I haven't even gotten the chance to respond to because, like I said, when I was opening up these messages, it was giving me anxiety because it was just, I feel like I beat the odds. Now I feel like I finally did what I was supposed to do, and I didn't know I was supposed to do it. Like I said, when I started these, you know, this series, it was not, the center of attention was not all on my foster brother. And as a matter of fact, I had no idea that my story was even going to get circulated the way it has. And everything happens for a reason. Every single message that I got came to me for a reason, both good and both bad. I don't feel bad about shit. And I'm so glad I got this all off of my chest because this has been very, very stressful. I pray for my sisters to get here one day because they deserve it. The moral of like the end of this is really just so you guys to be very aware, open your eyes, pay attention to what's going on, pay attention to what's going on around you, and you need to distance yourself from anybody who is complicit with child sexual abuse. Thank you guys so much for all of the support and the love and for watching and caring and reaching out to me. It really means everything to me. And anybody that I haven't responded yet, I'm really so sorry. Just give me a chance and bear with me. I'm really fucking happy that this is all, it's out of my system. Like, I feel like I'm really fucking free. Yes, it's really out of my system. Oh my God, I feel relieved. And I hope that I have encouraged as many people as I possibly can. And I'm gonna continue to encourage people. I wanna do motivational speeches and I wanna help uplift young women everywhere. And I just want to do the right thing with this. And I do believe that the right thing is to be a positive role model when it comes to surviving this, so other people can, you know, be like, yo, I can do that. Like I can be free from that shit. I can break free from it. So thank you guys so much. Do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. Make sure you give this video a like if you do like it and share it. Too many people need to see it and not enough people are gonna share it. So I need each and every one to do their best. Even if you share it to somebody that you know has gone through this shit and they haven't come out about it, hasn't even said anything to you about it, someone that's hurting, send this to anybody that you can. If I can do it, everyone, you guys can do it. If I can survive this, you guys can survive it. If I can literally, like, you know, like run as fast as I can to get away, and I got away, you guys can do it too. Thank you guys so much for watching. That is the end of this Liberated Femme video. Share it, like it, comment down below. Anybody going through this shit, you guys can get through it. Do not be afraid, be a beast. Come right after it. Just do the shit that scares you the most. Just do it.
goes to hell, will you still be my friend? My face to the sea and my back to the land.
I'm 1 in 10.
You can't come with me, I'll understand. I'll understand. Can we meet in the dark? We don't have to say much, and if you have to go, have to go. If we didn't know what we know, the end of the world at the palm of my hand.